accepting that challenge by your understanding mechanism to protect this life. That is how a child starts his life. Everything is for him or her as a challenge. You try to teach him language, he learns because it's a challenge to the brain. The brain is accepting that challenge and giving a solution. A part of escaping mechanism is also a part of the same solution of the same organism. So everything that comes out is a part of this challenge, because every cell from to their organization to an integrated life that is the prime force. As a result of that, it develops capacities. One cell in a sugar solution understands the gradient. That's its understanding, because that's the only thing that is required for it to go to a place where it can get a little more sugar. And the propelling mechanism of the cell will be as if it knows where the sugar is more. It measures the gradient. So everything inside you, no matter how much the lofty ideas come, because it came originally accepted as a challenge to protect itself, so everything will be transferred. The core fear of every individual. How do I control anybody? By showing him that it's come to an end for you, for rich to poor to everybody. That's the core fear. So to avoid that, that's why should I keep my life? Because that is the primary motivating force. Even though I'm suffering every day, still there's hope that maybe, because that's what it's creating inside us, to protect this integrated form of life. Everything that evolved out of this single motivating force. The solution is not so easy, because it's a part of the solution to take it away from the fighting. Also a part of the solution. Why should I struggle so much? What's that? The empathy that we talk about is a converted mechanism. One part is like, if I see somebody hurting, this body, with all its knowledge and its perception, has to feel that that's dangerous. That's how even a cockroach learns, by seeing other cockroach in a much more complicated way. The same poison, it worked. After some time they won't eat it. They don't talk to the other guys. This ubiquitous properties of this organism is so complex, we don't still understand how the animal learning is transferring through the gene and lives there as a property. A small duckling, just born. If something flies off, it goes under mom's wings. How did it learn? Because the whole thing is organized that way. That's the properties of itself. So that's the most important, powerful ingredient. That's called fear. The fear we give a name. The fear is nothing but it's protecting action. So that you're standing on the precipice, absolutely under your feet it will tingle. Because the whole body and its understanding of the depth is telling that that's dangerous to take back. It takes a lot of time to practice it to ignore. One can, that's the mechanism. And suicidal is also like that.
But the monkey yesterday was not afraid.
No, because that is how they evolved. If you see the mountain goats, by looking at it, how is it alive? This small thing, one here, he's standing on that. So they have to live there. So their whole mechanism is like that.
So that fear mechanism is not there.
In a different way, it will run away from a leopard.
Yeah.
So everything, when a big eagle flies, they have to take action. It has to somehow. Even we, with all our knowledge of entropies and how the order has compacted energy, we give a name entropy and all. We tell that if you have a box of 3 different color balls, if you shake it, because of the law of entropy, it will be disordered. To bring an order, you have to work on it. And so an ordered box will have a lot of energy of nature which made it that order. So that means your body has an extremely ordered organism. Otherwise, how these oxygen, nitrogen, In genetic order, there will be loop, and just in enormous order. So to have that order, the nature has worked billions of years, created all these things. So you are like atom bomb in the language of physics. Otherwise, you will be just like everything else, total disordered mess, like a box of sand. You may not derive any energy from that. Because of this order that is there, you are talking, you are understanding the power of nature and harness it and derive power from it. So you just try to understand all these things. How
From
they,
physical point of view, it is going to go towards disorder.
that is how we discovered, because that is how it looks like. The normal natural movement is draining energy going toward disorder. But life has this opposite force. It has certain, that's what we call is the intelligence of life. We still don't know where it originated from. What was the purpose of the cosmos that life even came? People are telling it's an accident. That's why the God still survives in the mind of human. Why the hell this suddenly a reverse current of order established out of a homogeneous disorder?
So there is no chance that there is something like the creator.
I don't see human mind can encompass that. It will be an idea. This question bothered me because when I lost my interest of physics, because it's a linear movement. Linear movement means I understand more. Now I have to confront a bigger challenge. Like I have a small town soccer guy. I became the best, Then I go to 3 towns. There are 3 more challenges. There I play well, but the challenge is next day I have to go to district. All the scientists also face the same thing. Every time they solve the equation, 5 different other problems will be on his shoulder. It's a linear. You keep going, a word will be there, and you keep there. So it's like an unending loop. You are on a merry-go-round. It's never going to end until you die. Period. I see that so clearly, like written on the wall. Is there anything else? Is there a purpose? Whether it is there or not there, how it is going to translate in my mind? That's the whole creator problem came from. So I really don't know. And I am from a society, not I. Every educated person in a society has a religious background because the society organized itself from the religious thinking of man. All the democracy, everything is converted from the religious thinking of man. I have to make it possible for my brothers and sisters a better living. I have to help them get out of the exploitation from the cheat and the other things. The whole thing is religious. The whole thing that we see from industrialization to capitalization, everything started from that organized effort of man, which started as religious thinking. So the moment there is a religious thinking, the question of either creator is there or not there is one of the most important aspects.
Fundamental is creator.
Yes. So that question is never going to go from your head. You create a group, okay? You give one guy a problem and you tell this solution will give you something. And then each one is seeing what problem you are giving it to others and what is the merit of finding a solution of that problem. So as human beings from different societies, I invented a God, she invented a God. But in our mind, it will be imperative which God is more powerful, which God is more kinder, which God takes care of their people better. It's nature of the thinking mechanism. The tool itself has an output of all these ingredients. There's nothing you can do about it. You teach a religion to a kid, and if he goes to some other place and confront a different society, he will put his perspective with respect to what he is learning. That's the way this tool organized itself. It has to find the best environment where it can flourish. The whole life form functions that way. Otherwise, why would they fly from north to south? Well, swims 5,000 kilometers, going from the better place to lay their chicks and everything. So why would we do these things? This is a normal, natural tendency of us. So one of the questions will be there, because we want to think the most perfect. How can there be no being because we are always involved in creating our babies
How can it come out of thin air?
out of nowhere. Because the physicists trying to establish that the 0 point energy is the most potent energy.
Yeah.
Like out of nothing, you created negative and positive. One negative world and positive one. They together, it created nothingness, but that has the highest potential, the 0 point energy. So you can't question about the time because there is no meaning of time before the Big Bang. But the mind doesn't understand anything before time. What is before time? What was there before? I want to know, because that's the normal, natural, linear questioning mechanism that comes to our mind.
And using what knowledge are we going to find out?
Yeah.
What is it that we use to...
We are looking
That is the difference. We are looking at a solution.
See, we find out by evidence. We go
Yeah,
back
that is what the evidence is, the only tool for a mechanism that called science. If I write a theory, it has no value until this theory shows an evidence of its functioning. So how do I know dinosaur was there? Because there is evidence. It shows that huge marker, and then they found how this marker arises out on the stone from a flesh. They showed fossilization. The tree will be lying there, the petrified forest, total stone. It looks like a tree. And it took a long time for them to explain how a tree become stone. This big volcanic eruption, the force that created out of the pressure difference is so large, it's like line of sticks are standing against this force. They all fell, all perfectly parallel. And this hot ash covered it and sucked all the oxygen out. It couldn't burn. It was there, and it slowly becomes stone, even though it is not under the ground. It's like sitting on the ground when this ash vanished after 100 years, 200 years. It's like lime tree, but it's rock. You should see the evidence.
It's like that in Italy.
Yeah.
Those people, same volcanic eruption.
Yeah.
People were, and they have then recreated that person how it was.
He was reacting when he was confronting that heat wave coming towards him.
So it became ash. Inside completely became ash, and then they put in a mold.
All dead instantaneously. So the trees, the big trees, like 80, 90, 100 feet tall trees, just lying there in petrified forest. They're all stone. They sell in small pieces in California. All the redwood trees, the whole jungle. There was the volcanic eruption. So that is the evidence. The evidence.
समझता ही नहीं है तो फिर उसको समझ नहीं आता क्या? Whatever we discuss with you, it seems that it is not easily understandable. I mean, with the knowledge, with the mind.
See, that is what. It's a different inductive logic. Like I am always pushing towards a place where this active part of our brain has a purpose, and when that active part of the brain is exercising in a regime where it is impertinent or it's inapplicable. For example, I discovered a sword which cuts the solid object. Now, I don't have any other way to separate the liquids. If I keep trying to cut the liquid with the sword, I'm just wasting my energy. It's the context in which a very specific instrument with its qualities should be utilized. The vacuum cleaner is different from separating things, qualitatively different. So we have various aspects in our active repertoire of action. What are all we are using? You don't use your understanding when you instantaneously go to protect your child. You can't, just the way a moving object comes to you, you have no space to think. So thinking has a special area in which you should utilize that reflection, bringing out memory, finding a solution, going ahead. And you have other ingredients of actions inside you which govern something else. So my point is that this system knows everything about it. It's not God or anything. A living system There is nothing there that is unknown. In a sense, every time it confronts a problem, it gives everything it has to find a specific solution at that time. So it doesn't wait for the unknown, for itself, the way it is organized. For us, there is unknown. For this physical system, there is no unknown. It looks like that the social challenge that is created in us is work of that 2% of our energy that we are utilizing every minute, every second to construct the social dynamics. Rest of it are governed by a very different principle.
Why is 2%, sir?
That's the 2% of the new cortex is taking away oxygen from the total repertoire. All the cells need a distribution of the energy. You eat, you breathe. Out of that, only 2% are required, like the oxygen, to work up the new cortex that is creating thinking.
Yeah. So to react with
The rest of the
society
or knowing and all this.
The rest 98% is for the survival of
The body, every part of it, the mechanism, you are a chemist, the feedback loop that is involved in maintaining the balance of energy, that it knows what it requires.
फिर क्या प्रॉब्लम है 2% वो थिंकिंग इतना वाट लगा रहा है उसका
Because out of that we created a relationship, out of that we created God, out of that we
even if
created
the training is only
perfection.
2% because of the thinking,
Yeah,
so the drainage of energy in the body is only 2%.
yeah,
If you can, according to what discussion goes
yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah,
this thinking, if you can hold on demand,
yeah. Oh,
out of the
that is the
2%
key.
कितना बचेगा?
That's the key word came out. You see, if that 2% is not there, if some disease comes to this species, where that 2% cannot be unleashed, in 100 years, New York City will be filled with trees. If you forget technology, if you forget how to think, you will forget how to protect all those buildings. The bird will put a drop of banyan seed, and like Maya civilization, it will be under the trees. 100 years. The whole face of the planet is going to change if you forget to use that 2%.
2%.
Do you imagine out of that 2%, what massive destructive armament we acquired that can kill 7 times us over? If all the nuclear power that we have combined, all the countries, if it's unleashed, we will be killed 7 times. That much of energy we have created out of that reflective power. So
you mean to say you conserve this 2% for the survival of the organism?
Better way, because there is no such thing as survival of the organism.
Okay.
The survival of the organism is every instant how it can acquire a stable equilibrium. From your sex to your eating to everything has a rhythm. It maintains a law of diminishing demand for resting, for tomorrow's kinetic energy supply. Everything. It moves according to that rhythm. Otherwise, why do we need to sleep so much calm? But you can't question. That is the way the core rejuvenation is going to be carried out. You eat food. Who does the work of taking the nutrients from that food and throw the shit out? That's not your thinking. In fact, thinking can disturb that working. That's why it needs to put you into sleep after food. It's critical for itself. We know how it works. So inductive logic is that if the system gets a chance that it deserves, it can make you function at its best. Not that you are going to be
Better.
A singer like ours is going to be so good in economics. It's not like that. Whatever the conflict that started from the beginning in your life as a little boy and brought you somewhere where you started to unleash all techniques that you learned, you will be at your best. That's all. Provided the system even if you read too much, if you're fatigued, tomorrow in the meeting you don't perform well. You will be unmindful. You can't recollect all the points that you thought in the previous day. But if you rested well, you feel good. On-demand charge. So that on-demand is a very important thing. Human beings, we somehow, that is how they invented this awareness and all these things. It's just give a necessary tool to bring about the efficiency. So the logic is that at one end of our argument in the knowledge, we have the perfect destructive power. Does it mean? It means that I know all possible ways to kill myself. If a person wants to get killed, no power on this planet can save him. So we have this perfect 100% power to destroy. The most powerful destructive organism thinking is to destroy itself. And the whole origination of this powerful tool is to protect itself. And all our actions shows that that is what it is doing all the time. All the fear mechanism, psychological fear, the fear that created time, everything is governed in that way. What is the other side of the spectrum? We don't know what is perfect equilibrium. That is zero. What is best for your child, you don't know. What is best for me, I don't know. Whatever they taught me. So we have that perfect 100% destructive knowledge. We have zero, a part of the whole life form. What should be my role? To create an environment that brings about an equilibrium. That what the organism looks like seeking for. The tree is giving us oxygen, we are giving it back to carbon dioxide. The entire nitrogen circle, everything. The whole thing is like a chemical laboratory, and there is no separation. It looks like that. If you begin to harness your knowledge, fundamental knowledge, you will look like the earth is just one life. It appears that way.
It is interdependent.
Absolute interaction. Whatever I am breathing out, a part you are breathing in, we are kind of a movement of the same living structure. We don't have these artificial differences are also power of organization. Like if I take a basket full of sand and shake it and leave it, I can create trillion different ways that the sand can organize itself. So are we. We have several trillion cells in our body. How it will organize and what will be its output from coloration to thinking are all. That's why it is very complex. No two leaves are same microscopically. It's not possible. And how many leaves are there in each tree? Every year it shades and grows new. As you start collecting, you will never find the same one. That's why your fingerprints will never match. This brain that you have, the brain scientists they know, was never there in the history of life. And this particular brain, in its all microscopic organization, form and state, will never come in future. Never. It never repeats. It is so vastly complex. The number of neurons
probabilities
is zero, slim to none.
Because of the number.
It has more stars in our galaxy. The number of neurons in your brain.
So now looking at you and looking at me, let us agree that you are at a better equilibrium than I am.
Because I gave up.
Okay, this is just a question. So you are at a better equilibrium than I am. But my observation in the last 3-4 years is that if I am at a poorer equilibrium or not at a good equilibrium, it is because I have many choices and I have comparative, I compare and things like that. And my thinking mechanism continuously works. But when I observe you, your rigidity is far more than mine. In the sense, your choices are far more than mine. I am okay to do differently.
Yeah.
But you are not okay to do differently. Then how come you are in more equilibrium than I am?
That's a good question.
Silence. I can't answer a question that has no answer. I didn't say I'm far better.
No, this is an observation.
This is an observation.
Not because you said it.
Yeah.
I can observe
where
your equilibrium is better than mine.
Yeah.
But your choices are more rigid than mine. Okay. So therefore, I am confused.
What do you mean by that? Choices.
There are many things that you can.
He understands what I am trying to tell you.